Welcome to the Fully Mindful podcast. I'm your host, Melissa. I designed this podcast for you. I'm so happy you're here. We are talking about what it means to live with more intention, creativity, and authenticity so we can make aligned connections. I'm a neurodivergent lawyer turned coach who found the healing power of breathwork and the powerful impact of mindfulness as we navigate this wild and beautiful ride of life. Here at the Fully Mindful, we dive deep with inspiring guests, share solo mini-sodes that are packed with tools you can apply immediately, and I mix it up a bit with tangents and sidebars where my friend and host of the New World Normal podcast, Debbie Harrell, joins us for some down-to-earth, sometimes random, but always meaningful conversations. If you're ready to breathe, reflect, and grow, you're in the right place. Let's get fully mindful. Well, hello, everybody. This is Melissa with the Fully Mindful. I'm joined by someone who brings a lot of light, laughter, and depth to the world of mental health, Brenda Zuniga. Brenda is a mindfulness coach, comedian, motivational speaker, artist, all-around creative powerhouse of a woman. She immigrated to the United States as a baby and was raised by teenage parents. Remarkably, she's lived in, I think, 15 different homes growing up. Her ADHD diagnosis didn't come until she was age 25, but by then she'd already developed the kind of resilience, empathy, and humor that would become the heart of her work. In 2018, she became a U.S. citizen and founded Sweet Thoughts Travel Incorporated, her mindfulness coaching company that helps people navigate life's inevitable messiness using practical science-backed tools with a lot of heart. She's created workshops for organizations like NAMI, USC, Miss USA organization, where she recently made history as the first ever mindfulness coach for Miss California USA. And she somehow finds a way to blend mental health, music, and comedy in her podcast, Getting Mental, and in her one-woman show of the same name. Her story is proof that healing doesn't have to be heavy and that joy can be revolutionary. So I'm so glad that you're here, Brenda. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that was like such an incredible intro. I want to be introed like that everywhere I go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I know you were recently, I want to get into your story, but I know I was pretty excited that you were at the West LA NAMI Gala recently, which was super exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about your involvement with NAMI and what that was like and the gala and the excitement? We might as well start fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I am a presenter for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. And I've been a presenter for NAMI for about, going six years, for a little over 6 years. And I speak to middle schools and high schools all the time through NAMI, through their Ending the Silence program. And I also do more work. This is through the NAMI Westside LA affiliate. And then I do more work for other affiliates as well. And we do a lot of speaking. I speak at psych wards as well all the time. I speak at universities. I speak everywhere on mental health. And NAMI has an annual gala, NAMI Westside LA. But this year they partnered with NAMI National and NAMI California. And they had it at the Beverly Hills Hotel. It was incredible. It was so rad. So I was doing the official Instagram takeover, and I was the official correspondent of the evening for NAMI Westside LA. And that was incredible. Connecting with so many like-minded, beautiful, empathetic, passionate, purpose-driven individuals who truly care about humanity and want to make this world a better place. That was incredible.
Yeah, I imagine. And, we sort of alluded to this in your introduction, you've lived through a lot, immigration, and I'm guessing instability, 15 homes while growing up. That's pretty difficult. And a late ADHD diagnosis. How did those things and maybe other things contribute to how you ended up where you are today, being an advocate for mental health?
That's a great question. I lived in 15 homes. I attended 11 different schools. I know. Wild, right? I think about that now and I go, dang, I really didn't know when my last day was going to be out of school, but how has it contributed to me, doing the work that I do now? It taught me that I want to help someone not feel the way I felt growing up. I've always been a very empathetic person, was very empathetic, I grew up really fast. I had to grow up really, really fast. And I know that in everything that I do, I want to infuse that, hey, you're not alone feeling. I'm right here with you. I've been through that and you don't have to go through it alone, because I felt very alone a lot growing up. But luckily, because I never stopped talking and I made a career out of it, I would talk to a lot of counselors and teachers about what I was going through. And they provided me the positive reinforcement I needed to keep going. They provided that, hey, you're going to make it. You're going to be okay. You're smart. You're resilient. You're this, you're that. And that helped tremendously. I would not be here if it wasn't for those teachers and counselors and people that I trusted. So I want to be that person to as many people as I can, because I could have easily gone another route.
And that's so interesting because, you and I have connected, we know each other offline, and we have in some ways similar stories growing up, in some ways very different. But one thing that is similar is I had a lot of instability growing up, and I did not have what you had, which was that impetus to talk with people about it. And so I'm wondering if you have a sense of where that inner knowingness to reach out came from for you.
Good question. I say this in a lot of podcast episodes because people ask me this all the time. They're like, how did you know, how to reach out and who to talk to? And I wish I had a better answer, but I just simply knew, I had a very strong intuition as a child, and it was very loud, very, very loud intuition. And so I felt like I was always guided. I was always protected. There was always something that led me to go, hey, go talk to this person. Hey, we need to do this because we're here on a big mission. I knew it since I was a child. I remember when I was 5, my mom would ask me to grab my toys because we were going to send them to our cousins in Mexico. And I said, why? I was just curious, not like, oh, I don't want to. No, I was just like, why? How come? And she goes, because they don't have toys. And I'm like, what? They don't have toys? And she goes, no, these are going to be the first toys that they're going to receive this year. I quickly packed up all of my toys and I'm like, send it to them. And in that moment, I realized, wow, I actually have the power to make someone happy. I can do that. And she was like, they're going to be so happy. They're going to relish in this. You're helping them be happy. And so I knew I had that power from a young, and because I knew I had that power, I was like, I want to, expand this power. I want to bring this power to as big as, make it as big as possible. So I knew at a very young age that I was here to do that. And then that I could do that. And then I needed to do that. It was like a need. It was a purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that. Maybe that led me as a teen to go, you know what? You got to talk to someone because we're here on a big mission and we got to make sure we make it out. And that not only do we make it out, but that we're thriving so that we can help as many people as possible.
Yeah. I mean, that lands well with me. That sounds like it makes sense that it was this inner knowingness of having some sort of greater purpose in your life. And wow, I won't put words in your mouth, but I'll use mine. I better get my shit together, right? I gotta get some help on this journey so that I can fulfill that purpose, which is to help others, right? I love that. How was that for you as you moved around, 11 different schools, 15 different homes, young parents? It sounds like at least from the story that you told, that there was some support there for you, despite the fact that you had young parents. Is that right?
Yeah, the support came from my parents' friends. They came from teachers, counselors, my friends. They came from my friends' parents. So there was always people around that I felt like I could trust.
Hmm.
But, unfortunately, my parents, and this plagues so many parents who aren't educated about mental health, but growing up, they were like, you have a roof over your head, you have clothes on your back, you have food on the table. What are you complaining about? They'd
Hmm.
be like, why are you depressed? Why are you anxious? Why are you this? And just study. We had to walk 1,000 miles to school back in the day. And I'm like, no, you
Right.
didn't. Stop lying. Like, that was not. Don't lie. Our backpacks were 100 pounds. No, they weren't.
Right.
Relax.
Yeah.
But they couldn't relate because to them they're like, hey, we sacrificed our entire life for her, and she's out here complaining that she's sad and anxious and all this stuff, but she's living in America now, and
Right.
she's so I'm able to see the nuance in that. I'm able to see like, okay, I can understand. That being said, if it wasn't for me talking to counselors and teachers and everybody else that was around that was trustworthy, yeah, I don't think I'd be here.
Yeah, and that goes to, thankfully there was a system in place, or at least people in place who did understand. So even though your parents were supportive, they didn't really understand mental health needs, but there were people in your life who could understand that, which I think really goes to what you're doing now, right? Being one of those people, being a big part of people's lives to support them in their mental health journey, whatever that may be. And I mean, it sounds like your upbringing, I'm imagining, gave you a lot of resilience and empathy for others. Was there a moment other than when you were 5 and you shipped off all your toys? Was there any other moment where you just had that moment of clarity of like, I've got to serve people in this way. Like I have been helped, and therefore I am resilient. I am empathetic. I'm in this position and I need to support other people.
Let's take a quick break.
Hey, everybody, this is Melissa with The Fully Mindful. Have you been curious about the power of the breath? Join me for in-person or online breathwork sessions in the new year. We have themes such as awaken, reset and manifest, love and kindness, empower and energize, and more. We'll use conscious connected breathwork for truly transformational sessions with curated music and somatic coaching. Visit the website at thefullymindful.com for detailed information on upcoming sessions. Fulfill your need for personal development and breathe into the new year with purpose and intention. See you there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always known that was my purpose. I remember in fourth grade, a peer's house burned. As soon as we found out, I immediately told my dad, let's grab all the stuff that we don't need in this house. Like, let's go donate it to her. Let's go give it to her. I cleaned out my closet for her. And then in high school, a girl's house was broken into. And I immediately was like, let's grab everything that we can so that we can, you know, help her. So I've always had that. I've always had that, hey, let me help, let me be here, I can do it. And it's like I've always had this resilience mindset, I guess you can say, this let me put this on my shoulders. I was number one peer counselor in high school as well. Teachers would take me out of my classroom while I was taking a test because their students were having breakdowns, and the only person they wanted to talk to in the entire school was me. So my teachers were like, okay, go talk to them, come back and take your test afterwards, and so I've always had this, but any moments that I would see somebody be in need, my response was always, let me rush in and see what I can do to help. So, yeah.
Yeah. And was there a point at which you realized, okay, not only can I just help people in general, but I can be an advocate for mental health in particular.
I've always been really open about mental health. It's that inner knowing, that would always tell me we're here to do things differently. We're here to talk.
Yeah. And I think, that's so important to get across, because I think we all, or at least that's my experience, we all have that inner knowing. It's just that most of us don't listen to it.
Mhm.
We brush it off. Oh, my parents told me I should do this, or society tells me I should do that instead, or that this is valuable, or that that's more valuable. And we often don't listen to that inner knowingness. So it's so important for people to hear this, that, when you do listen to it, like, things work out, right? You are living in alignment with your purpose, right?
Mhm.
And able
Yeah.
to help other people while doing that. Not that everyone has to run off and become a mental health advocate, or a
Mhm.
comedian, or a mindfulness teacher, or a coach, or anything like that. We all have our ways that we can contribute to the stream of life. It's just that you happened to listen to what your gut was telling you, your inner knowingness was telling you.
And also, back to your question, it made me remember when I first saw my first therapist. I was 19, and I went to her because I was having these debilitating panic attacks out of nowhere. And I knew that I needed to talk to somebody about this. So somebody, a professional now, a therapist, she introduced me to mindfulness and meditation, and it completely changed my life, completely. But it wasn't until 6 years later that I would see my second therapist. And she's the one that introduced me to the idea of exploring my behaviors more.
Mhm.
And then she's the one that goes, "Have you ever been diagnosed with ADHD?" I'm like, "No." And she goes, "You have every symptom and character of someone who has ADHD." It would explain why I'll start a million projects and then get super bored midway and then don't finish them. And the way to cope with that is to start a new project. And then I'm like, "Oh, yay, novelty." But then I feel like crap because I left the other ones unfinished. So now I'm getting anxiety and I'm like, "Oh, crap." And then I feel like a failure. So then depression sets in. So it's
Yeah.
like this cycle of excitement, anxiety, depression, excitement, anxiety, depression, over and over.
I
I
know it
hate.
well.
Yeah, you have ADHD. We
Yeah.
have ADHD. And when it's unmanaged, that's what happens, right?
Yes.
So when I began to manage it, when I began to incorporate all these mindfulness tools, a lot of DBT, and mind you, I majored in psychology in college. So that was already a hyper-focused fixation for me. When I began to better myself and regulate my central nervous system, I realized, oh my gosh, more people need to know this, because I see dysregulation all day, every day with other people. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, 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 we can feel good. We can feel really good, And then that's when, back to your question, I guess, yeah, like that was one of the moments that I went, I have to bring this on a bigger scale. I have to let people know that you can feel really good. You can create better structures, better systems. You can love yourself. You can rewire your brain. You absolutely can. And you don't have to be a victim of circumstance. You really don't. Your upbringing does not define you. Mental health conditions don't define you. You define you. And you got to do the inner work, and you can, because you're worthy and deserving of it. So, yeah.
I do love that. And I think you just exemplified some of the strengths of ADHD, which is this excitement and hyperfocus and vast amount of empathy for other people, and being able to bring it to others in a way that is understandable, right? And accessible, rather than some lofty pie in the sky. And nothing wrong with therapy. A big believer in therapy, but some people, they're intimidated by that. And so they need a more accessible starting point. And they can relate to someone like you, or someone like me, or someone, just a regular person who they can identify with their experience of like, oh, there's another person out there who feels that way, or who has done that thing, or who has experienced this and has come out the other side, right? Like, that's the important piece, not just the identification, but the hope and the actual action steps for getting to the other side, right? Like, this is how you do
Absolutely.
it. I have so many things I want to follow up on. Um,
No, we're here for it. I'm here for it. I'm so excited to be here. You're incredible. And I said it at the beginning before this recording started, but for all your listeners and everybody watching, like, I truly, truly admire Melissa and everything that she does. And her energy, period, is so beautiful. And I'm so honored to be here. I had the busiest last few weeks. I mean, my schedule is always busy, let's be honest, but like the last 2 weeks have been absolutely bananas. And I was looking forward to this so, so much. So yeah.
oh, thank you. We definitely have a lot of levels of connection. And one of them, not just the ADHD, is this mindfulness piece. And you spoke about how that kind of like rocked your world, that changed how things really, I mean, that and getting that diagnosis of ADHD and learning how to deal with that were pretty pivotal moments. What was it about mindfulness that rocked your world, do you think?
Ooh, great question. Hmm. I want to say it was the fact that it was pretty easy.
Mhm.
It was pretty easy, and the effects were almost instant, the positive
Mhm.
effects. And I just thought, no way. Where has this been my whole life?
Yeah.
Why aren't they teaching us breath work in schools? Why aren't
Right.
they teaching breath work anywhere? I'm like, what's going on? And mind you, this was, over a decade ago.
Yeah.
And now you teach breath work. I teach breath work. Thank goodness that there's now more of us who are out there doing, this kind of work. But back then, over a decade ago, there really wasn't. For me, it was like this light bulb went off.
Mm.
And I went, wow, these tools are very easy. And with consistency and discipline, they really do rewire the body and mind.
100%. And I mean, I think it's interesting because you were untreated, undiagnosed ADHD,
Yeah.
truly had it,
Yeah.
and you were able to engage in mindfulness practices. And a lot of people out there, ADHD or not, will think, I can't do mindfulness because I can't sit still, or I have way too many thoughts, or, there's no way I could quiet my mind. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. I was there at first with the sitting still part. It was a
Mhm.
little hard for me to do that. And sometimes the silence did feel deafening. And I hear that from a lot of my clients as well, because I do not just one-on-one coaching, but I do workshops. I do really big workshops for corporate,
Yeah.
nonprofit, schools. And so for me, when I first started, the whole sitting with still not listening to anything was a little tough. But what
Yeah.
I did is I ended up creating a formula where I incorporated solfeggio frequencies and music into the meditations. And I made them pretty short. And then I would either do some sort of physical movement right afterwards, and then we would go right back into it so that we can stimulate the mind, but yet calm the body so that we can trick the mind and body to be calm in a very high stimulus environment. So it was something that something that I began to do, and it was working for me. So then I began to teach this to my clients, and it was working for them. And
Yeah.
so, then now when I do workshops for corporate nonprofits and schools and events and all that stuff, I do that with them. Because I have people like that say that all the time. They're like, oh my God, I've tried this meditation thing. It's not going to work for me. But then they try my formula and then they're like, wait, what? Where has this been? And that
Right.
person may have ADHD, may not. But yeah, it's something that our brains thrive on stimulation. They
Right.
thrive, right? So it's about
I,
making these tools like that.
I love that. And because I mean, and I talk with people too about this, like, there's no one way to meditate. Like, this idea of a monk sitting on a cushion, at the top of some mountaintop, cool, if that's you, right? But it doesn't have to be, right? And in fact, it often is, like you said, incorporating movement or focusing on breath and really doing some either intensive or other types of breath work that gives your mind something to focus on, or walking meditation again, or introducing music, or there are all these different ways that we can practice mindfulness, and it works for anyone, ADHD or not, and it is a game changer. right? I know for me, I was so excited. By the way, I was looking at your website and I was like, oh, she met Jack Cornfield. That is so cool. So, Jack Cornfield, for those who are listening who are like, who's Jack Cornfield? He is an amazing Western mindfulness teacher. He's been around for decades and decades. And
Mhm.
he helped found Insight Meditation Society with Joseph Goldstein and Sharon Salzberg, I think, a million years ago, and also Spirit Rock Meditation Center in California. I just can't get excited enough about him because he was my first mindfulness teacher at Spirit Rock Meditation Center. And so I was really excited that you got to meet him and his wife and got to practice with him. And so I don't know if you remember that moment, you wrote about it, but if you do, like, what was your takeaway from that practice and that meeting with Jack?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, that is so cool that he was your first teacher as well. That is so rad. That first moment with Jack Cornfield, I was pretty starstruck. I was,
Yeah.
I don't get starstruck, but you know what I mean. Like when you
Yeah.
connect with someone like that, and that person is just, I truly was very grateful to share that space with him and to
Mhm.
meditate with him. That was so special. I guess to summarize it, just the word is very special. And then getting to talk to him afterwards too was very
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
So,
I think, and kind of the message that is for folks to find someone, whether it's you or Jack Cornfield or me or somebody else. Do you like how I put us in with Jack Cornfield?
I love that. Love it. Great job.
Because we just belong there. But whoever it is, to have a mentor, a teacher, a facilitator who can help along the way, right? Who's maybe been where you have been before and knows the pitfalls, knows exactly how the crazy brain works and how to settle it and how to settle the nervous system. It can be really, really helpful. In other words, and I think this is often so much your message, you don't have to do it alone.
You are not alone, and you can have fun doing this. And that's one of the things that I want to emphasize with my work and what I do. Really want to eliminate that stigma that it has to be this like really dark, heavy, negative thing. But whenever I talk about ADHD, I always say it's my superpower. Whenever I talk about my ADHD, it is my superpower. I don't like to think of it as anything negative or anything bad, at all. When managed, it's my superpower. When unmanaged, yeah, I'll stare at the wall, wondering why butterflies have their wings when I should be writing emails. Totally. But, it's something that my ADHD has allowed me to juggle so many different things at once. It's allowed me to be able to hyper focus, to teach myself things. We have the gift of hyper focus, not everybody does. There's so many gifts with having ADHD, and that's what one of the main messages that I like to convey. That again, mental health conditions don't define you, and that we're really not alone. We're all in this together. Everybody has something.
And I love how you say you incorporate fun. So let's talk a little bit about how you do that. So when you're giving these workshops, to schools or to organizations affiliated with NAMI or, corporations, like how are you incorporating fun? I mean, a lot of people would be like, I don't know, fun mental health. Fun mental health. How do we do that? So how is it that you're able to embrace both fun and also talk about mental health?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Well, as a comedian, I love to blend a lot of stand-up comedy with my workshops. So not only am I sharing, these like funny personal anecdotes, but I'm sharing like funny stories that everybody can relate to regarding a situation of the topic that I just covered. For example, when I was giving a Spanish workshop, because I also do Spanish workshops. And so when I was doing this, there was about 200 people in the room, and I tailor my workshops to the age groups, the demographic, and all this stuff. Everything I make is tailor made. So when I was hired to do this big workshop, all in Spanish, I saw that the demographic was around the age of my aunts and uncles. Okay, and they were Latinos. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Like what I'm about to start talking about anxiety and this topic over here. And so this absolutely crushed at the workshop, because when I brought up the topic of anxiety, I kind of saw some people get a little uncomfortable because, they're older Latino, and the Latino community, like, people don't talk about mental health.
Right.
It's taboo. It's for people who are weak-minded, quote unquote, but it's something that, again, I really want to eliminate with humor and education. So when I got into the topic of anxiety, I saw some people kind of be like, I'm going to butcher it because it's in English. Okay.
Yes, we're
But
translating here.
I said something like, you know, with anxiety, some of us are familiar, some of us are not, right? I'm like, kind of quiet. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know. Growing up, my uncle, I love him to death, love my uncle, but he would get his 6-pack of beer, and I named the specific beer that a lot of Latinos drink. And so they're like, oh, and I'm like, and he'd grab his 6-pack, he'd start playing Caifanes. And Caifanes is a Mexican, well, they're a Spanish rock band, and they're huge with their demographic. I said, so he'd start playing Caifanes, and he'd be like, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go hang out with Caifanes, and then I started to act as if I was my uncle,
Right.
grabbing his beer. And then as he was grabbing his beer, he was like, I don't have anxiety. I don't have anxiety, but don't bother me for 8 hours while I listen to Caifanes by myself. In my room, by myself, okay? By myself. No one bugged me for 8 hours, right? I might get another 6-pack with Caifanes. And if I turn on Mana afterwards, don't even bother me. Mana is another like Spanish rock band. And so everyone was like, oh my gosh, does that mean that he has anxiety? Right? Because then now they're like, wait a minute. We do that, or we know someone who does that. Does that mean they have anxiety? Right. So now it's like they're laughing, but they're being educated and they're going, wait a minute, we relate to that. Is that what's going on with our loved one?
Right. Right. I love that. Yeah. So bringing in that comedy, that identification piece, that education all in one. And like you said, tailor making that for each audience, right? Like, obviously, you're not going to do that talk with, let's say, predominantly Caucasian corporate guys, in their 20s, right? So it's going to be a different, you're going to relate to them in a very different way, but you're able to do that, which is awesome. And I mean, you're highly creative. You have had a podcast called Getting Mental, where you talk a lot about mental health. And I understand you're going to be relaunching that, but you have incredible episodes on that. What got you interested in creating podcasts?
Thank you for saying that. And yes, I am revamping it. I'm relaunching it this year, which is really great. What made me want to get into podcasting? Well, I got my start at the world famous Comedy Store in Hollywood, and a comedy legend who is an old friend of mine. I hadn't seen him in years. And I was there to see a friend of a friend perform. But when I texted my friend, I went, hey, are you going to be at the store? And he goes, yeah, I will. I'm like, great. So when I was there and I met up with him, he ended up having an anxiety attack. And and he didn't know what to do. So I went, hey, can you take me somewhere where it's quiet and I can do a breath work technique with you? And it'll help. And he goes, yeah, of course. So we went backstage. And I'm doing this like breathing technique with him. And he's like, oh my gosh. He goes, this is the first time that I've felt relaxed in a very long time. How can I repay you? And I said, oh, no, nothing. I said, just your friendship. I was like, I don't need anything. This is what I do. And I hadn't seen him in so long. So he goes, no, come and hang out tonight at the store. And, it's the least I could do. I said, great. So he's introducing me to all these comic legends. And by the end of the night, he goes, you're a comedian. And I go, what? And he goes, you're a comedian. And I go, no way. I'm like, I mean, I was always like the funny friend, but to actually pursue it as a career, I never thought. So I just thought, no way. And he goes, no, yes, you are. Come here every Tuesday. I do podcasting here. He goes, I'll teach you the ropes on podcasting. and learn from your peers, because these are now like these, you are a comedian, so this is your
family.
now. So I started doing that, and I was there all of a sudden 4 times a week. I was at the Comedy Store and I was part of different shows. I was learning podcasting from him. And then the pandemic happened about 2 years later. That's when I realized this is the time to launch the podcast called Getting Mental. And George Lopez ended up becoming a big fan of it. So he reached out and was like, we need to do more of this. We need to talk more about mental health. We need this. And then I began to collaborate with his charity. So, it's been a fun ride.
That's amazing. And then you also have a show called Getting Mental, right?
I had a one-woman show. Yeah,
One
I had a
woman.
woman, and it's called Getting Mental on the live stream, because it was a live stream.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about what that was like to do a one-woman show.
Yeah. Oh, that was honestly the most fun I've ever had ever. I think I was writing and composing on the piano. It was a musical. It was a one-woman show, comedy musical with a purpose. And so I sang and I composed all these songs about mental health and my own mental health journey to raise awareness on it. And man, I just remember for 2 months, I was like holed up in my apartment. I would wake up at 6 in the morning, immediately start writing, and I'd go to sleep at like midnight with like a pen and paper in my hand. And then I'd wake up again at 6 and like do it all over again. And it was the most fun I had. I looked like a very unstable person though during that time. I had pizza boxes on the floor. I had papers taped to the wall with lyrics and songs. And I was doing my whole vision storytelling board on the wall. It was bananas, but it was the most fun I've ever had, ever. And oh no, thank you for asking that. That just really brought me back. That really brought me back. That was such a fun time, knowing that this was going to be a comedy musical for others to enjoy and to hopefully be inspired by it and feel less alone by it. So,
Well, and I love that your work is focused on that. And such a big part of my own journey and my own work is finding belongingness, right? And defining belongingness as not just being what people expect, but actually being who we really are and feeling like we belong and that we are accepted and loved for the way that we are. And so much of your work is about that message, which I love. Is there a time in your life where you were able to tap into that belongingness, where you really just felt like, I really do belong. I, Brenda, am exactly who I am. I am living my purpose. People get me, and I feel like I belong here.
was there ever a time where I felt like I did belong?
Well, yeah. I mean, what are the times when you felt maybe the most aligned with that form of belongingness?
Now I understand. Thank you. Honestly, anytime I'm performing, anytime I'm performing, anytime I'm coaching, anytime I'm recording a podcast episode, anytime I'm having a deep conversation with someone.
Yeah.
Those moments I feel so good. I feel like this is what I'm here for. This is a deep, deep sense of belonging. But especially when I do my workshops, oh my gosh, I love that. I am buzzing afterwards, buzzing, because I know that there had to have been at least just one person in that room that I know felt better and just felt seen and heard and understood. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help others feel that way. At least that's how I feel,
Yeah, it sounds like that's how you feel really connected to other people too, is when you're performing and you can sense that energy from the people who are present with you. It's that give and take, that vibe that is ongoing between you and the group that you're with. And that is something that I think we as humans are born to do, and we don't all get to experience it that much. Is there anything that, if somebody's feeling right here, right now, and they're listening to this and they're like, oh, well, that sounds really great. That'll never happen for me. Or maybe they're a little bit more pre-contemplative and they're like, okay, what do I need to do to have that feeling? Any messages that you could give that person?
Absolutely. One of the things that I love to talk about with my clients and just anyone in general that is open to this is talking to them about the inner child, your inner child, your outer child. Everybody has that. Everybody has an inner child and an outer child. And when you learn how to connect with your inner child and outer child, AKA your unconscious and your subconscious, the little you and the teenage you, when you learn how to connect with them and have them be in harmony with you, the adult you, it's the most magical feeling because you really do feel not alone. And it doesn't stem from anything external. It doesn't stem from needing to perform or needing the validation over here. Like it doesn't come from anything outside but from yourself. And this is something that I'm going to be teaching in the upcoming course that I'm creating, because I'm creating a course for y'all.
Do you have a name for it or not yet?
Not yet, but I'm very excited because my team and I are working on it right now. So it's going to be really fun. But this is one of the topics that I talk about, and I've had such success with, not only with myself when it comes to applying this, but my clients. One thing that I can say is if you're not a performer, if you're like, how do I have this feeling of belonging? Where can I get that if that's not what I do? Start learning about your inner child. Get curious about what you liked to do as a child. Pick an age. Then start talking to your teen self. What were they like? Start connecting with them and be open to feeling everything that they're going to tell you. It's not going to be a smooth ride at the beginning. It's not going to be like, oh, they're so happy.
No unicorns and rainbows?
No unicorns and rainbows at first. It's going to be like, why did you leave me? And it's like, well, I didn't leave you. No, everybody else did. And I'm like, what? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please stop. But then you're like, no, don't tell them to please stop. Hold them. Hold your inner child. Hold them through the pain. Hold them. And it's like, oh, yes, here. I'm right here. I'm not going to leave. I'm right here. And let that inner child within you express themselves. Let them be and do what they want to do. Hold that for them. Reparent them. Reparent yourself. You're going to find that belonging that you're craving has always been within you, and you can find it inside.
Yeah, that reparenting piece is huge. I remember when I started working with different parts of myself, and when I first connected with that inner teen, that inner teen had a lot to say.
She was angry, wasn't she? She was, I don't know. I'm speaking just for mine. Mine was mad. She was mad.
Mine was spicy for sure.
Have you seen those Instagram reels? Have you seen them where it's like, now that you've reparented your inner child, now it's time to meet your outer child. And then it cuts to like a dinosaur and it's like,
I love it. Yeah. People are so creative, but it's true. In my experience, as it sounds like it has been your experience, is that when we are willing to go there with our different parts, whether they're inner child, inner teen, or some other part, Richard Schwartz, who talks about, internal family systems and working with the different parts, talks about that. It's like we realign, right? And we reassure those parts of ourselves that need the reassurance from the parent, the person that we've become. And it's such a healing process. And I can't wait to hear more about this workshop and how you're going to take people through that process and support them in that reintegration, that reparenting. It's so exciting. What else do you have coming up, if anything?
Let's see. So we got the podcast. It's going to be relaunching in 2025. Very excited about that. I'm working on the course for everyone to make it even more accessible, for those who can't book me for a workshop or don't even know where else to go see me perform live or don't have the means for that at the moment. So the course is going to be available for everyone. So that's really excited. And that's taking a lot of, that I'm pouring my heart and soul into it. So it's consuming a lot, but I'm also revamping just everything, like my website. I'm revamping my workshops in person as well, not just the course, but I'm working with my graphic designer on that to create all new packets for that. I have a lot going on, but I definitely owe my audience an apology for not being as active on social media this last year as I have been for the last 6 years. But I've had so much going on with everything that I do that social media presence has kind of gone down a little bit, like me being so active. So I apologize, but I promise you I'm working on that as well. And I will be a lot more active this year, just the way I have been for the last 6 years.
I think we all need a little bit of a cleanse sometimes. So I think your fans, including me, understand. And, you've created so many different offerings, workshops, talks. I know you did mindfulness for folks to support them after the LA fires. You did the NAMI thing. I mean, like, you're so busy with all these things, just amazing. How are you staying connected to your own creative spark, your own inner self wisdom, your own calm, kind of sage self?
That's a great question. And that's actually one of the questions I asked a lot of the performers at the NAMI Gala when I was interviewing them. That was, these very successful in the public eye musicians and actors and, again, just performers. And it's something that we need to continuously ask. So thank you for asking. How do I keep that alive? I make sure that I meditate multiple times a day, even if sometimes I don't feel like it. But it's something that I'm very disciplined with because it allows me to take that moment to recenter, reground, connect to see what's the next thing that I need to do. Not the next thing I need to do because I want to get it over with or anything, but like, what's the next aligned action that I need to do? And it's a constant check-in with myself. So that's huge. I live in Vegas now. The Red Rock Canyon mountains are over there. They're not too far from me. So I make sure that I go on hikes out there to ground, and being in that energy is so wonderful. So that's huge. I make sure that I laugh every single day. I have to find a moment where I am just laughing, whether it's me creating it or not, but I have to laugh. My boyfriend is an incredible audience member because I know how to make him laugh really well. And I just love it. It gives me energy when I hear him laugh. I make sure that I stay connected with friends. I make sure that I'm sending a text here and there or, trying to find something that I'm excited about that isn't work related, I guess you can say. But it's very easy to blend a lot of my fun with work because I love what I do so much. So it's like, there's been times where I'm like, I'm not working, but no, I'm working. I'm working hard. And I'm like, no, but I hardly work. No, girl, you haven't stopped. And I'm like, really? And like, that's my inner guidance going, girl, you need to meditate right now. I'm like, oh, okay. So I've learned to take these meditation breaks and everything else I mentioned.
Yeah, no, I think that's such a lovely way to live. And finally, as we're sort of circling toward the end here, is there anything that you were hoping we were going to talk about, we didn't get a chance to talk about, that you want to talk about?
Girl, we could talk forever.
Yeah,
I think we covered a lot. I would say just like more inspiring tools. It's like the one thing that's just coming, more inspiring tools for people to know that there are such vast different types of coping skills available, and to be open. I guess maybe I just want to keep talking with you, and I'm just kind of
that's cool.
I think I'm just trying to, because you've done such an amazing job at asking such incredible questions. And I'm like, I can't even think of anything. I'm like, no, you're amazing. And I'm like, I just want to keep talking. Let's talk about this cup.
Let's talk about cups. What's the best way they can find out all about you and what you're up to?
Yes. So I am most active on my Instagram, and the Instagram is official Brenda Z. Z, just the letter Z as in zebra. So official Brenda Z. And my website is by my full name, BrendaSaraiZuniga.com. But that you can find a link on that to my Instagram. But those are the two places where they can find more information about me. Anything up to date, stick to Instagram. If you don't have one, please download an Instagram. Just follow me, and that's it.
You just follow one person.
And Melissa, 2 people. That's like
I love it. I guess I want to end with maybe something fun. What's lighting you up most right now?
Ooh, it's lighting me up most right now. See, this goes back to, mixing that work with pleasure things, but just everything I'm doing, I'm really lit up by it. I'm really lit up by the course, the workshops that I do. I love doing that. So that always just lights me up. But okay, not with work. Let's see what's lighting me up. Have you seen the White Lotus 3?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. So not work related. What's lighting me up is reading all of the Reddit and fandom about White Lotus season 3. Oh my God.
There's so many little things that I didn't know, but when you read those Reddits or, anything, it's like, oh, I didn't know that. It kind of enriches the experience. And for those who haven't seen it, they absolutely need to see it. And at first people might go, oh, White Lotus, isn't that a bunch of overly privileged people living their overly privileged lives? Yes. And there's so much Buddhism in this particular season. That's really fascinating how that gets juxtaposed against all of this privilege and kind of narcissism, as well as this whole thing about friendship and the importance of friendship.
Yes, you summarized it perfectly. You nailed it. Okay, yes. I'm clearly so excited right now over this. First of all, I think they captured that female friendship between those 3 women so well when it comes to being friends with catty women, right? And just the complexity that comes with that. But I also wanted to let everyone know you don't have to have those type of friendships. You can have very deep, respectful, loving friendships. But yeah, I loved how there was that polarity between Buddhism and that narcissism that was just so ever present with so many characters and balancing that.
Certainly, it speaks to where we are as a culture right now. We have, like you said, this polarity with kind of this hyper individualistic, hyper narcissistic, overly privileging, doing and producing lifestyle that we have, and then this other competing desire, and I think natural desire, to be more of who we really are, right? And to be more aware and to be kinder and to be true to who we really are. Like the one character, the security guard. And he really struggled with who he really is and what he wanted to be. And I won't give away the end, but so many of the characters struggled with that journey of who am I really? And that's just where we are as a culture, right? Like, who are we? What are we meant to do?
And I think they captured, because a fun fact about me, when I majored in psych in college, my field of expertise was narcissism.
Okay.
And I should say is, because it's still my field of expertise. Narcissism, codependency, and borderline personality disorders. Those were my field of expertise. I was so fascinated by these disorders. I was so fascinated that I studied the heck out of it. And I help a lot of my clients that I have through one-on-ones. I help them a lot with narcissistic abuse recovery. That I'm very passionate about exposing narcissists and exposing narcissism and educating people on codependency. And I, because that's a whole other rabbit hole, but narcissists are very dangerous individuals who can wreak havoc on people's lives. And they get away with it a lot of the time because they are so charming on the outside. to very shallow and superficial relationships that they may have. A lot of people that they've been quote unquote friends with for even, let's say, a decade may not even know that they're dealing with a narcissist. If that person is also on that narcissism spectrum, or if that person is like highly codependent, highly codependent. So the reason why I bring this up is because I think that White Lotus season 3 did such a great job of capturing a classic codependent and narcissistic relationship dynamic with Rick and Chelsea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That was classic pairing, classic codependent and narcissist pairing. And I think they did such a phenomenal job of depicting that relationship.
We could have a whole podcast episode
I swear.
dissecting and analyzing.
I swear. Yeah, we can do that next time for sure.
No, it's fascinating. And I think you're spot on there. I wouldn't have captured that, but that's exactly dead on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so White Lotus is lighting you up, as are all the other amazing things that you're working on. And I really appreciate you taking the time today, especially I know how busy you are, and really feel very privileged that you were able to devote so much time with us here today. And I do really want to invite you back so that you can talk more about the course that you've created and how it's impacting people and what you're up to next. So I hope you will come back at a future date. And I'm looking forward to hearing more.
Absolutely. I'd love to come back. And I would love for you to be a guest on my podcast as well.
Oh, I would love to. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Thank you again, Brenda, and we will see you very soon. Thank you for joining me on the Fully Mindful podcast. If you got value from this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who loved this content too. Remember, small moments of mindfulness can lead to big changes in your day-to-day life. Until next time, take a deep breath, stay present, and tap into your own mindfulness. I'll see you next week.